So you said the word and what happened?
I just froze. Ugh. I'm going to say so again. Like, dare me to start a video without the word so. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. In this episode, it's going to be quite a heavy topic and one that fills me almost with anxiety before I even say the heading of what it's about. This one is going to be a little bit different, but first and foremost, I do want to say out loud to myself that I know I need to make changes, and I know that I need to make changes pretty quickly because of the depths that I've been in with an eating disorder and problems with my relationship with food, and how quickly that can just spiral into almost the irreversible. So I'll be starting some therapy soon because I know deep down, although I try and convince myself otherwise, I know that I absolutely need it right now. This episode is going to be quite heavy. It's going to talk about my experiences with mental health with my eating disorder. And although I don't like saying the word anorexia, I instantly get quite anxious about it. But I will be talking about anorexia, and I will be getting really...
Good.
Oh,
It's going to be that day. That's going to be that. You fought with anorexia for over 10 years. You fought with this for 10 years.
Okay. I know what to say. Stuck. I was diagnosed with anorexia in February 2021. I put that word on such a pedestal because obviously it's a diagnosis, and I almost invalidate, or I do invalidate, my illness quite frequently. I have a problem with food, and quite often I don't want to say that I've got anorexia because I convince myself, or the illness convinces me, that it's not that bad. It tries to invalidate your illness because someone else has a different number to you. Maybe they have the same symptom, thinks more or less than you about this problem. And it makes us question our struggle, our truth, and our pain, and whether we even have a problem with food at all. It can tell us someone else has it worse, so we must be fine. We've never had anorexia. We don't have anorexia. We're a fraud within this illness. I've been trapped in thinking that for years, and it's been one of the hardest things that I'm still trying to unlearn. Now, I can't remember, or maybe I don't want to remember, when this actually started. I know when it got really, really bad. I've been sharing my story surrounding grief and surrounding all the emotions that, come alongside that. But a huge element of my life that not a lot of people know, not everybody knows, is that I suffered with an eating disorder for a long, long time. I actually can't remember a time where I had a normal relationship with food. And when I reflect on that, and I've done a lot of therapy and I've had a lot of professional support, that can come from my early childhood, it can come from my dancing years, and then it can come from like relationships, education, and career. So a lot of the elements, I really struggled with why I presented with an eating disorder. I had an amazing upbringing and I had a fantastic childhood. And when I was surrounded with people that was also suffering with the illness, again, I got that fraudulent feeling because they had an answer for why they was in the depths of this illness. And I still struggle with that because I don't have a pinpoint area of my life where I'm like, yes, that's exactly why that happened to me. When I've gone through therapy, they've almost come to a conclusion that if you find the reason why, we can start looking at ways in which we can maybe unpick that. And also you've got to want recovery for yourself. So wanting recovery is one challenge on its own. And then me finding out the reason why, I'm very skeptical whether that will ever happen because I feel like I've exhausted everything. And for me to still sit here today and have struggles and challenges and almost inadvertently be back in a really unwell mental health situation, which I was trying to escape when I came to Australia, thinking that if I move away, that will be left at home as well, which hasn't happened. It's taken a bit to raise its head again. It's always been underlying, but it's now quite prevalent. I find this really difficult because there's a lot. And my brain's like, oh, tell this story, tell that story, tell this story.
So we break it down into years.
I know, but still even like 1 year is a lot. Ha! I've tried, or I feel like I've tried everything. And almost at a last chance saloon, which I know is not, because eating disorders and problems with thinking about food is not linear and it's not a straight line, and you can go in and out of different waves and emotions with that. So in this episode, or almost like I want to create a series of episodes, I'm not entirely sure what that looks like in terms of YouTube. I know you can create a playlist. I probably should have looked at that before I started recording this, but almost a timeline of the things that I've been through with my eating disorder and like try and amalgamate them all together. I think it's really going to help me from reflecting on the stages that I've been and the process that I've sort of developed through the stages of anorexia. But it's something that I feel is such a huge part of my journey that I've not really touched upon as yet. And this is just sharing stories of my experience through an eating disorder that I've battled for a number of years now. But before we get into sort of any of the episodes that I'm going to start to create, I really want to make a disclaimer directly to the viewers that are going to be watching this. I've watched thousands of videos similar to the one that I'm going to be posting today. I often replayed and repeated the same ones. I've looked for myself in them. Some of them served me in a time of my life that I did definitely need them, but some of them I felt like I was searching to almost make my illness worse, which for those that haven't suffered with an eating disorder, that sounds ridiculous. Like, why would you go searching for something to make matters worse? I've thought really hard about ways I can share this, as everyone's journey is so uniquely different. I need to speak openly, especially to those of you who are currently struggling with an eating disorder, or you're somewhere in your own journey, or maybe you have a really complicated relationship with food and body stuff, but you're not even sure if that counts or warrants any support. I get it. Like, I really, truly do get it. I know that we are often the ones who go searching for content like this. Sometimes it's just curiosity. Sometimes it's our illness trying to search for things that we cling on to control and comparison. But sometimes we just need to feel seen. Like, how can anyone else have the things in our minds that we do? The ones that we're too ashamed to maybe say out loud. Anorexia and eating disorders absolutely thrive on competition, with a strong focus around controlling numbers and all the other elements that can impact your nutritional intake. Anorexia, eating disorders will always tell you that you're not sick enough, and I promise you, you will never be sick enough. So that's what today is about. And I just want to make one thing super clear before we go any further. This is just my story. It's my own experience and it's my journey. And if you relate to parts of it, I hope that you feel less alone. So let me say this clearly, even if I don't always believe it myself. If food takes up more brain space than it should, if something as small as picking a snack causes you with so much stress or shame or spirals, then that absolutely matters. That's valid and it deserves care and it deserves support. Now, just to be upfront, I won't be sharing any numbers, no weights, no target, no goals, because I know how much harm that can cause. But within my journey, I will obviously be sharing my thoughts around food, and those can be pretty extreme. But this is solely a place of reflection to try and maybe help me get through whatever is going on with me right now and remember the darkest times to try and prevent me from going back there. By saying all of this first, before I dive into my journey, I really trust that you take in what only feels safe for you right now and to walk away from anything that doesn't. That's not weakness. It's you having strength and knowing that this just isn't healthy for me right now. I used to roll my eyes at the word trigger. Ironically, I find that word really triggering. I want to have the choice in how I use my energy. I don't want to define something as triggering, so I manipulate my own thoughts into thinking that that's, bad. And by labeling something as a trigger can often carry more weight and identify that it is a normal belief to have. So although I don't like the word, but it's used universally, I really want to give this as a little bit of a trigger warning to you and where you're at right now. My own healing has allowed me to be mindful of around what affects us, and choosing not to invite that in is such a powerful place to be. So yeah, consider this a gentle heads up. If today is not the day for this conversation, that's absolutely okay. Take care of you first, always. I just wanted to share a conversation that I had with a nurse when I just came out of hospital, because it's one that really resonates with me and it's so powerful. It's an analogy that's kind of stuck with me and it's fueled me to continue to keep going. We were talking about how eating disorders are so wildly competitive, and in the end, you end up only competing with yourself in a battle that you will absolutely never win. She said to me, Bex, your illness has taken full control, and you want to prove that you can be the best anorexic you can be, right? Why can't we change that narrative completely? Why can't you be the best person in recovery? And then, to give the illness a little tease, because that's what he likes to do, why don't we tell it if we don't like that place, we don't like that place where we could potentially help others going through the same thing, we don't like that sense of freedom, we don't like the spontaneity, we don't like the social aspect surrounding food, then we'll go right back to where we was before, because that's in the grips of our control as well to do, and we can get there super quickly. This was such a powerful movement, a shift in my mind. I'm really trying hard to sit with that and feel the energy that I felt when she first said it to me. And maybe that will fuel me forward to get the support that I need. I want to be the best in recovery. I want to help other people because I never want anyone to get to the place that I was. And I think it's also really dependent on the day when I do these videos, on the state of my mind and where I've been with my food for either the week or the day or what I'm thinking about, things that are coming. But at the moment, I'm filming on a Sunday. Weekends for me are a little bit of a relax, which sounds bad again because it sounds like it's a choice, but I allow myself a little bit more freedom on a weekend, and then depending on how much freedom I allow myself will project the rest of the week in terms of restriction and exercise. So majority of the time come with more emotion and more allowance to know that I need help. Whereas when I'm sat here today on a Sunday, I'm absolutely fine because I've been able to engage in more normalities over this weekend. And the reason I can have more of a fluent and natural conversation is because I'm nourished. I've been able to have more food, have more calories, and be able to feed my brain to speak normally. And through the week, it gets to the end of the week and my energy levels are so depleted and I'm just a bit of an emotional wreck, to be honest. I come with floods of tears and just a heightened knowledge that I know that I need some help. That being said, I did work, which I will discuss as well. I did work with a private coach after I came out of hospital. And one of the analogies that she said to me, which really rings true in my mind quite frequently, is that when you're in that mindset with an eating disorder, you often look at just the stair in front of you and you don't picture the whole staircase. So at the moment, I'm just seeing that it's Sunday and that I've been able to have this freedom, but I actually don't reflect on the previous week when I've had really bad mentality surrounding food. So now that I want to talk about this more frequently, I'm hopeful that I'll be able to, like I say, have this as a bit of a self-therapy for me and be able to reflect on really bad moments I've had with food during the week that I often forget when it comes to the weekend. And then I think that I'm actually all right and you've made this whole situation up. I'm just here to talk through my own experiences, where I was, where I am now, and maybe where I'm going. Because honestly, that shifts all of the time. So these might come as a bit of a mishmash, they might come coherently, I'm not really sure, but I'm just going to share and see what happens. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And most importantly, thank you for protecting your own peace.